First of all, Mr. Nick, it's a great pleasure to speak with you about UFOs.
Obrigado.
Okay. Could you give us some information about your main work inside the UFOs in England?
My job was to investigate all sightings reported in the United Kingdom, to judge if there was evidence of a potential threat or something of more general scientific interest. And I investigated 200 or 300 cases each year, interviewed the witnesses, checked to see whether there were conventional explanations, and some of the cases were explained as misidentifications, but we had some very interesting cases where the witnesses were police officers, pilots, radar operators, and military personnel.
Okay. Do you know some cases, some incidents in Brazil? What do you interest more?
I know that Brazil has had many interesting incidents and cases. I've heard, for example, of the Varginha case, and I believe the Colares incident, and then the military investigating with something called, I think, Operation Preto. So, and I know that there have been many UFO sightings, that the Brazilian government and the Air Force has files on this, and some of those files, I think, have now been released, not least through the efforts of people like A.J. Chivar. So Brazil is certainly a country where there is a lot of activity. Unfortunately, when I was working at the Ministry of Defense, my terms of reference were only to investigate British cases. But of course, I was aware of interesting things happening all around the world.
Like cycles in countryside in England?
Yes, the agroglyphs are very mysterious. And it's an interesting mystery. I think many of them are, of course, made by people, but we need to have some more scientific investigation of this to do two things. Firstly, to investigate the soil and the crops to see if there are any chemical or cellular changes in the agroglyph that does not appear just outside it. And the second thing we need to do is clearly some of these agroglyphs have mathematical and geometric information in them. And maths is the universal language. I mean, pi is going to be 3.14 everywhere in the universe. So we need to do a proper computer analysis of all this to see if there is information encoded in some of these agroglyphs.
You said something about the Varginha in Brazil. What do you consider the main plot about it?
Well, it's not a case that I'm very familiar with, but of course the sad part of the story is that I believe that somebody died shortly after, and of course there was suspicion that it was because of a biological hazard. Maybe he had some pre-existing medical condition, but maybe not. But maybe if this really was something extraterrestrial, we have no defense against extraterrestrial microbes. And this is an issue that NASA, of course, takes seriously. They tend to sterilize spaceships before they send them to somewhere like Mars, because we don't want to contaminate a biosphere. So, and when we bring material back, of course, it is treated as if it was as dangerous as Marburg or Ebola. So with Varginha, I don't know, but we need to do more work. We need to try to find more government documents on this.
Okay. Mm-hmm. In your career, did you have some contacts with UFOs or maybe aliens or near this?
We had no direct control, no direct contact. My job was to investigate other people's sightings and to research the phenomenon and to brief defense ministers and to respond to media questions, but we never actually had a UFO. We didn't have a crash or anything like that, and I've never seen a UFO myself. So my job was really that of a government official trying to get to the bottom of this mystery.
What do you think about magazine UFO? Like today in São Paulo, and some interest about people, Brazilian people?
Well, I think clearly a magazine is a very good way to get good quality information to people. The trouble with the internet is that there's too much on it. With a magazine, the editor can tell the story and be very selective about only putting in good information, verified stories. So it is very, very important. It's a good way to bring information to the people. I know we're in the digital age, but I'm still a firm believer that good old-fashioned books and magazines are important.
Okay. Could you give last message for Brazilian people, please?
Well, I am very pleased and honored to have been invited to this great country, to meet some wonderful people, enjoy the hospitality, have the opportunity to share some fascinating information that I have, and also have the opportunity to listen to stories from people who I meet here. So I'm very pleased to be doing these events at UFO Summit Brazil, and I hope that I will return in future years.
Okay, thank you very much.
Obrigado.